Hey, how's it going, guys? It is Foxydude here. Welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on the channel. Today, as you can see by what is on our screens right now, we're going to be going ahead and ranking all of the 22 races from the F1 2021 season. If you guys end up enjoying today's video, drop it a like and subscribe if you're new around here as well. And let's get straight into ranking all of these. As you can see, we have got top tier, pretty damn good, could have been better, bit of snooze fest, just get in the bin. Like, just straight away, just get in the bin with all of your racing. So, let's get straight into this then. Again, this is my own personal opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and let's get straight into it. So I've only just about recovered from bloody Abu Dhabi, but anyway, we're starting things off here with Austria. Now, are there two Austrias on here? Because we had, there is. How am I going to judge this now? I've got track maps here. Right, this is the Styrian, I actually can't remember the Styrian or the Austrian Grand Prix. I actually genuinely can't remember them. The Styrian Grand Prix was a snooze fest, wasn't it? Because it was Max out front, Lewis was second. Oh yeah, this was when it was Max, Lewis, Bottas, Perez was the order. I genuinely can't remember anything from the race. I think Leclerc had a bit of a fight back through the field because he got a puncture on the first lap. Oh no, sorry, Gasly got a puncture on the first lap. Yeah, I can't remember anything from the race, so snooze fest. I don't really remember anything. We'll go to the next Austrian, which was the actual Austrian Grand Prix. This one was better than the Styrian Grand Prix, whichever way they were, because I think Norris was on the front row alongside Verstappen. Mercedes were out of position. Eventually, Perez and Norris had a scrap. Perez got forced off the track. Norris got a penalty for it. Perez then went Super Satan mode and just mullered Leclerc like 6 times off the circuit. Hamilton had a great scrap with Norris. Then Hamilton got floor damage and lost loads of time. Bottas got past. Norris also got past as well. Verstappen crushed the field again. But yeah, it could have been better. None of the Austrian Grand Prix were any better than each other. Oh, I mean, yeah, that's probably why I put it. So that's Austria, that's Styria. Or whichever way round was which. I can't remember, to be honest. Now, next up, we've got the Bahrain Grand Prix. This was a pretty damn good race. This was a cracking opening race to the Formula 1 season. Verstappen and Hamilton on the front row. Safety car came out quite early. And Verstappen and Hamilton then played a bit of a strategic battle between each other. Eventually, Mercedes out-strategizing Verstappen. Max had the run on Lewis, overtook him but did it off track. Lewis got the position back. Hamilton held off Verstappen to win. Bottas could have been in there as well, but he had a safety. He had a problem with the pit stops. Leclerc, Norris had a couple of good scraps in there. I think Gasly had the front wing damage after hitting Ricciardo on the safety car. The two Hasses crashed because what you expect, one of them crashed, the other one spun. It was a really good opening round to the season and pretty much set up what was to be the F1 2021 season in the end. Next, we've got the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. This is the exact same thing. Now, I'm actually going to be controversial with this one, and I'm going to put it in could have been better. You're probably thinking to yourselves, why the hell have you just done this? I'm going to execute you. Hear me out here. The reason I've put Azerbaijan in could have been better is because the only reason the race had drama and had, what should we call, excitement and chaos around it was because of Pirelli tyre failures. Now, for me, I am a Formula 1 fan. I want to see good racing. I want to see action. What I don't want to see is F1 having drama being spiced up specifically because of tyre failures and putting drivers at risk of death, basically. So I'm not really willing to do that. And it's something that I, quite frankly, am not interested in seeing. So overall, I mean, we had Leclerc on pole, which was a complete shock. Don't get me wrong, there was some brilliant wheel-to-wheel racing there, especially after the red flag. But the fact is that this was all caused by tyre problems. So it was good, but it could have been better if it was all not because of the red flag, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Anyway, we're going to move on now. Next up here, I was actually going to struggle on what this was. This is the US Grand Prix. So let's see, where do we want to put the US Grand Prix? This was an okay race. I think this also could have been better. There was some good moments in here. Hamilton got the jump on Verstappen off the start. Max was following Lewis closely, but there was a lot of DRS trains. There was a lot of, it was anticlimactic as well because Lewis pitted late and chased Verstappen, but he just couldn't follow him for the first sector because the cars are really hard to follow. It anticlimactically ended. So it'll go and could have been better. Next, we've got the Hungarian Grand Prix. This was a top tier race. This was a top tier Grand Prix. It was just mental. The start, the pile-up caused by Bottas, Hamilton starting the restart on his own, everyone else pitting. Lewis came into the pits, fought his way back up the field brilliantly. Verstappen had some good wheel-to-wheel racing with a completely broken front wing, barge board. And Alonso putting that defensive masterclass in there. Ocon beating Vettel. Top tier Grand Prix. Wet weather, everything. Yeah, brilliant race. Hungary, well done. You smashed it this year, and you won't smash it for another 20 odd years. You'll probably be in snooze fest or get in the bin again. So, yeah, top tier Grand Prix. I absolutely loved it. The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix next in Imola. This was pretty damn good. This was a pretty damn good race. I like this one. Hamilton on pole ahead of Perez and Verstappen. Verstappen getting a mega start, shoving Hamilton wide off the circuit. And then he clambered the curbs and he had front wing damage, but he held on in there, chased down Verstappen. There was some good action. Gasly, I think, was on the wrong tyres. He was on the wets, so he was trying to fight his way through. We saw Norris getting through some of the traffic as well. Bottas and Russell having a massive crash and a red flag. Hamilton having a crash of his own, benefiting from the red flag, and was able to unlap himself and get himself on par with the rest of the field. Get a set of tyres on, fight back through the fields and claim home a brilliant P2. Verstappen winning the Grand Prix. All in all, it was a very, very good Grand Prix and it was pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Next up, we've got the Brazilian Grand Prix. Now, there's a toss-up of where I want this race to go. I either want this race to go in top tier or I want this race to go in pretty damn good. Now, there's not one race that goes in top tier in my opinion. Like, I don't have an all-time favourite race of the year. Weirdly enough, there's just too many great races this year, but I either want to put it in top tier or pretty damn good, and I'm actually going to put it in top tier. I'm straight away putting it there because the sprint race was epic. Well, I say it was epic. It was Lewis Hamilton that made the sprint race epic. To be honest, I'm a fanboy. Okay, whatever. Lewis Hamilton. I support. I follow my sporting icon, my sporting hero is Lewis Hamilton. I support Mercedes-Benz. Shoot at me if you want. I don't care. I just felt like Hamilton made the Brazilian Grand Prix weekend as magical as it was. I'm sorry, I'm just saying it. The sprint race would have been... Imagine if Hamilton started that sprint race from pole position. You can kind of see where this is going here. Lewis probably would have got off the line and led. He would have won that. And quite frankly, in the race, no one was going to touch him. It would have been a dead weekend. Let's just put it out there. But because he was thrown back all those positions, he made it as special as it was. So Hamilton, thank you for making it a top tier race. And I thoroughly loved it. Now, we've got the Turkish Grand Prix. This could have been better. There was hype around this race for a specific reason. It was wet. And it was like, oh, hello, we've got a repeat of last year here. We've got a wet weather race. We've got Hamilton taking a grid penalty. We've got Red Bull with a fancy new livery, which quite frankly was actually disgusting, in my opinion. But it really fathomed out. Like, the first part of the race was great, but then we got to the stage where the Inters were rubbish, but they were the best tyres, and the dries were useless, and it just fathomed into a really anticlimactic finish, just an anticlimactic race. Like, we were all actually... The weirdest thing is that we as fans were calling for the track we were begging that it would dry up so they could go to dries, and that's something that you don't want to see. So, Turkey, it could have been better. Bottas, though, picked up a win, so to whom it may concern, fuck you. Now, we've got the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. This race was mad. It was just mental. This would have been in top tier, but it's going to go in pretty damn good. Now, the reason it's going in pretty damn good and not top tier is because the virtual safety cars screw everything up. I'm okay with the red flags coming out. Okay, there's a lot of danger around Jeddah. The track needs some changing. That's quite evidential, which is fine. But there was so many virtual safety cars that just get coming out for debris and crap like that. Like, when there's debris on the track, right, and there's VSC, just either pull out a VSC, pull out a red flag, or pull out a full course safety car and just get the shit cleared up and just crack on with the race. I was getting so angry with the amount of virtual safety cars. It put it away from a top tier race into a pretty damn good race. And of course, Max and Lewis, they went at each other a million times, and it was really awesome to see. And the chaos between the front wing crash and, yeah, I don't even care. That was mad. The Mexican Grand Prix. Get in the bin. This race was crap. Mercedes front row lockout, which was unexpected. Verstappen mugged them both off, quite frankly. He went off to dominate. There was the spin at the start between Ricciardo and Bottas. Safety car came out, safety car came in. Bar that, I genuinely can't remember anything. I actually remember this race. I was having a roast dinner with my father. We were both watching it on the TV, and we were spent most of our times on the phone, just browsing social media. It was crap. Yeah, Mexico, it has a lot of problems. Hopefully the 2022 regs make Mexico entertaining, because you can't follow, which is really, really a pain in the backside. And because it's such high altitude, even though it's got such long straights, it makes no difference because everything just gets too hot. So hopefully we can find a way to basically bridge the gap between rubbishness and Mexico. Speaking of getting the bin, Monaco, get right in the bin, sunshine. Because you are shite, and I hate Monaco. I really do. It's nice to see cars driving around the Principality of Monaco. It never produces great races, and yeah, it was crap. So on that note, get in the bin, we move to the Italian Grand Prix. Top tier Grand Prix. This was top tier. This was epic. Verstappen on pole. We had the sprint weekend as well, didn't we? Verstappen on pole, Ricciardo, Norris, Hamilton, I think it was. Or Bottas? No, Bottas started from the back. Ricciardo got into the lead. Hamilton tried to pass Verstappen, was forced off the track. Then he got dropped behind Norris again. Verstappen then tried to, Ricciardo pit, I think Verstappen tried to pit and undercut Ricciardo. Verstappen had a horrible pit stop. Hamilton then got past Lando Norris in the end. They then had a crash with each other. The top two contenders crashed each other, with Verstappen, in Toto Wolff's words, calling it a tactical foul, and taking out Hamilton. McLaren came through and picked up the only 1-2 of the season. Mad that it was only McLaren that got a 1-2 in the entirety of a 22 race Formula 1 season. That's mental. Absolutely mental. So big up to yourselves on that one. Yeah, because that was crazy, and I am all for it. So yeah, I am very pleased with that. Next up, we have got, I actually don't even know what this circuit is. I'm going to have to try and what is, oh, it's the French Grand Prix. What the hell am I on about? This is the French Grand Prix. Yeah, this was a pretty damn good race. This was Barcelona flipped over. Hamilton taking the lead from Verstappen after Max made an error at the start. Lewis then led until Red Bull undercut, and it was such a powerful undercut that Hamilton then dropped behind Verstappen. Hamilton put pressure on Max. Max then pulled away, pushed hard, pitted for a second time, chased down, overtook Bottas, chased Lewis, overtook Lewis. Perez then had a go at Bottas as well. The two McLarens also had some good battles in there as well. Yeah, this was a damn good race. I really enjoyed this one. I am very satisfied with what I saw. Now, I was about to question what the hell this Grand Prix circuit is, and I'm still trying to question what the hell this Grand Prix circuit is. I actually genuinely don't... Oh, it's the Portuguese Grand... I should have just done this with flags. I don't know why I picked one which had tracks on it, but at least I'm good at track memory. The Portuguese Grand Prix. This race was okay, so it could have been better. I think the Portuguese Grand Prix was alright for the first 20 laps, and then it curtailed into a bit of a snooze fest. So it was pretty damn good, and then went to a snooze fest, so it goes into the middle. The first 20 odd laps of the race was really good. We saw a good start from the top three. The safety car came out. Verstappen mugged off Lewis Hamilton and got past him. Verstappen made a small error. Hamilton got back past him. Hamilton got back past Bottas in the end as well. Verstappen undercut and overtook Bottas, and then at that point onwards it just got stale, and I felt like more could have been done to try and help that race, but it didn't quite work out in that one. So yeah, we move. Next up, we've got the Qatar Grand Prix, the inaugural Qatar Grand Prix. And I'm going to be a bit controversial here. I actually thought this was quite a good race. I'm going to be honest with you. I actually thought it was quite good. We were going into the... And I'll tell you why I put this in pretty damn good. We hyped this Grand Prix up as being a snooze fest. We were told it's going to be hard to follow. Overtaking is going to be difficult. It's not going to be a good race. Qualifying is absolutely key. Now, Hamilton took pole and led every single lap and smashed the competition. Verstappen got a great start, but made some great overtakes in there as well. Alonso claiming a podium, which was just completely unexpected. Bottas having his tyre problem. I think Latifi and Russell both had tyre problems as well. I think Norris might have actually had one as well. So there was some tyre problems in there as well. But overall, the racing was good. There was good racing. You were able to stay close to your competitor in front. you were able to make your moves into turn 1. And because how turn 1 is so long and sweeping and quite wide, there was lots of different lines that you could take in order to make your move stick. So overall, I actually thought that this was a good race. So that's just my opinion. Yeah, so hopefully you completely don't care and choose your own opinion, because that's all that matters. Now, next up, the British Grand Prix. This was top tier for me. I love this. I love this. I love the British Grand Prix weekend. I thought it was epic. It was brilliant. Obviously, we had the start of the race. Hamilton and Verstappen going wheel to wheel for multiple laps until they had their first crash of the season at Copse Corner with a nasty shunt from Max Verstappen. Hamilton got penalised for that. He then had to chase down Leclerc for the whole race. There was some actions going on in and around the field, but then when Lewis came out of the pits on those hard compound tyres, he went into prime time Lewis Hamilton and managed to pass Norris, managed to get let through by Bottas. I nearly said pass. And then he chased down Leclerc and he passed Leclerc. And I am a fanboy and I don't even care. And I celebrated. I was loving it. And it was top tier. So yeah, judge me. Don't even care. Next, we've got what on earth is this Grand Prix? This is the Russian Grand Prix. Oh, this was top tier. I love this race. This race was awesome, weirdly enough. We had a very mixed up grid. We had Hamilton in 7th. I think Bottas was at the back with Verstappen. They were fighting their way up through the field. We had DRS slipstream trains in there. We had Sainz versus Norris for the lead of the race. We had the rain come out. We had slow pit stops. We had rain that affected the Grand Prix. Norris slid out. Hamilton won. Verstappen was 7th and struggling, then managed to finish in P2. It was a great race. I love this race. This race was awesome. Russia, fair play to you. And Mercedes still keep up their 100% winning streak at Sochi. If they do it again next year, then they would have won every single race at that venue, and we're not going back there because they're going somewhere else. So yeah, that's a plus from me. This was a top tier Grand Prix. I really liked the Russian Grand Prix. Next, I'm just going to throw Spain into pretty damn good. This would have been a snooze fest had it not been the outcome that it was. Now, with Verstappen passing Hamilton and taking the lead, it set up the Grand Prix for the chase that Hamilton was doing. There was some good overtakes and some battles around. I remember Stroll doing one on Alonso. Towards the end of the race, there was a big scrap between like Gasly, Alonso again as well. So there was a lot of scraps down in the middle of the field. Sainz and Norris had some scraps, I remember. But if Hamilton had stayed in front of Verstappen, at the start of the race, this is going straight into snooze fest. But it didn't, so it goes up to a pretty damn good race. It's Spain. I was expecting nothing, and we got everything. Speaking of getting nothing, Belgium, just get in the bin. This is another idea of the FIA just being wankers, and I hate them. The fact is that they made us wait for 2+ hours. They did 2 laps and then called the race off and then gave points for it. I still don't understand it. I really don't. I'm still pissed off at that Belgian Grand Prix fiasco. Yeah, that's where I go with it. Now, Abu Dhabi. Where do I actually want to put... Do you know what? I'll leave Abu Dhabi for last. Zandvoort was a bit of a snooze fest, I'm not going to lie. It was one of those races where it was hard to follow. Only Sergio Perez really made loads of overtakes in there. Verstappen and Hamilton were just in a prime zone area, just going at it. Max had the advantage, though. It was never in doubt at his backyard. But yeah, it just didn't really... I can't remember much from it, to be honest. And now we come to Abu Dhabi. Where do I even want to put this race? Honestly, guys, I know... do you know what? I don't even care. This is my opinion. Get in the bin. Get in the bin. You know, this race had everything, and the FIA screwed it themselves. Lewis Hamilton got the better start, beat Verstappen off the line, had way more pace, crushed him in the Grand Prix. Should have won his 8th World Championship, but the FIA just decided that they didn't know what the rules were and made them up as they went along, quite frankly. Now, I'm going to put this out here because, I mean, some of you have already clicked off by now. Some of you are still watching, etc. If Max Verstappen won the Formula 1 World Championship in 2021, I personally would not have been pissed off. I know, as a Hamilton and Mercedes fan, I wouldn't have been pissed off. I would have been fine with that because the thing that I actually care about more is Formula 1. Now, I am a massive Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton fan, but I care more about Formula 1 than I do of my team and my driver. If, for example, at the 2020 season, when you've got the Mercedes is so far ahead, the races are just stale because you know what's going to happen in qualifying, you know what's going to happen in the race. That's boring. This 2021 season was epic because we had an epic Formula One season. It didn't matter because it was Mercedes and Red Bull. It could have been Ferrari and McLaren. It could have been Red Bull and Ferrari. It could, it could have been any of them. But the fact is this race was going so well. There was some good overtaking. There was some good action. I probably actually would have put it in could have been better if the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix had no safety car controversy. Everything was done to perfection and was done right and by the rules. And there was, say there was no safety car, right? This would have been and could have been better because the race was okay. Perez put on a masterclass of defensive driving against Lewis Hamilton. But at the end of the day, Hamilton had the pace, and no one was going to challenge that. Max was closing in on his new tyres, but even on fresh hards, couldn't even get close to Lewis in the end. If the race had been done properly, we wouldn't have had this problem. Like, honestly, and I say this right here, right now, if what should have happened is a red flag should have come out for the crash on Latifi. Because a safety car would have meant we would have had, as we had, we rushed the whole scenario. If we put out a red flag, everyone on fresh soft compound tyres, and we have final 5 laps or whatever it is to sprint to the line, if Verstappen beat Lewis Hamilton with a red flag and the sprint to the line, absolutely fine. Yes, Lewis crushed him in the race, but he fucked up. He would have fucked up under red flag conditions. Max took the opportunity. Max wins, job done. That's my opinion on it. Max would have won it fair and square. But because the FIA put all these stupid rules into effect and pretty much cost Lewis his title, it's just a get in the bin. And if it was the other way around and Verstappen lost his title and Lewis took his 8th from that, trust me, the Dutch fans would be even worse than probably what the Hamilton fans are. I'm just putting it out there. But yeah, unfortunately, what this also did is there was a lot of hype around this race, and there were so many new fans that were watching this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and they got that as their Grand Prix. Formula One had an opportunity here to showcase why you should be watching Formula One. They had it all set up, level on points between Hamilton and Verstappen, into the final race, winner takes all, and they blew it because of their own problems. And unfortunately, it gets a get in the bin for that. But here we go, guys. That is my tier list then for the 22 races of the F1 2021 season. Here they are. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with my opinion? Would you have done anything differently or whatnot? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys for my next video, though. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, all. Peace.